All right, it's another live Penguins chat here on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, courtesy of our buds over at Pittsburgh Sports Live. Hey, I'm Dan Kingerski. Thank you so much. Trust me, it has been a brutal, long day here for Pittsburgh Hockey Now. We're starting it at 8 p.m. on Wednesday night, and don't mind telling you the day began somewhere south of 6 a.m. So we're going to rely a lot on you on the live chat tonight. So do me a favor, hop on that board, fire away, let me know what you want to talk about, questions. We're going to talk a lot about Sidney Crosby tonight, both Sid's decision, Sid's place in the game, and, what do the Penguins do if Sidney Crosby decides on surgery? So we'll fire that up. Give me a second. I'm going to share this on Facebook. So bear with me one quick second. We have that weird picture of just the skyline. It really should be kind of me or something else like that. Maybe I can mug smile, or that's probably pretty creepy. I imagine. Anyway, so I'm sharing this on Facebook. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to talk about. Really, I don't think there's much in the way of trade rumors right now. However, boy, if you're the Penguins, you've got to wonder, if you're Jim Rutherford, you have to be looking at the potential absence of Sidney Crosby. Let's say 5 weeks. Let's split the difference. 4 to 6 weeks. Let's call it 5 weeks. And then another 7 to 10 days to get back to truly full speed. You're looking potentially without Sidney Crosby. And by the way, for those who don't know, the Athletic scooped us today, full stick tap to them, that Crosby has the choice of getting a sports hernia surgery, out 4 to 6 weeks, or going through rehab. Crosby could have had the surgery over a month ago. It's been bothering him since training camp. Oddly enough, Zach Trotman had the same injury, a sports hernia. But because Rust was down, Malkin was down, Galchenyuk was down, Hornquist, and, go down the line, Crosby opted to put it off. So I think we can, with some certainty now, say when he tangled awkwardly along the boards, that probably tweaked just enough to send him over the edge. Because he kind of went down to the other end of the ice, took a shot off his boot, went off the ice. So we didn't know if it was, a foot injury or what. Now we do know that it's the sports hernia. If I'm Sidney Crosby, there's only one question that I'm asking. It's not what about the team or what should they do, which will make me healthier on January 1st, period. Which will make me healthier for the second half of the season, which will make me whole and more sustainably whole. That's it. Obviously missing a month of the season. Sidney Crosby's chance at an Art Ross trophy is likely gone. Crosby's chance at a Hart trophy, probably gone. Because increasingly the writers' union almost votes like teenagers. Ooh, this guy had all these points. He's awesome. I don't ever think a winger, unless that winger plays like Marian Hossa, end wall to end wall and dominant, I don't ever think a winger should win the Hart Trophy. Especially a winger who's not physical. Not a leader. Not the captain of the team or one of the heartbeats of the team. I don't think those kind of players, I don't think a Taylor Hall, a Nikita Kucherov should have won the Hart Trophy. So I will publicly spank the writers for that one. I think Shelley voted for Kucherov too. I'm just saying. I'm spanking my own here. Wait, let me rephrase that. So, jump on the chat board. Oh, the stuff that comes out when you've been working all day. But you get what I'm saying. Crosby's chance at the big awards at the end of this season are probably null and void if he misses 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. But what's going to be better for Sidney Crosby in the long run will ultimately be better for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Austin says, I hope Sid just gets the surgery. The schedule doesn't seem like it's too tough if he were to miss the next month. Jennifer kind of agrees. Jennifer Chefro, health is more important than any game. Get fixed now rather than cause more damage later when it's a more vital time in the season. Easy decision, in my opinion. Enjoy your show. Peace and love. Peace and love. I can appreciate that. Why am I so distant? Let me fix that. There. How's that? Am I a little better now? I literally walked into the studio at about 7:55 for an 8 o'clock show. Just lucrative deals for Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Jump on the chat board. I don't know what the Penguins do. I thought we got a pretty good look at the pros, the cons, the strengths, and the weaknesses of the Penguins on Tuesday night against the New York Rangers. The Rangers are not a great team, but they're certainly much improved over last year. The Rangers can skate like the wind. They're not very physical yet, although they've got a bit of jam on defense with Jacob Trouba, right? And what you saw, the pluses and minuses of the Penguins. And by the way, check out the PHN Plus report card from Tuesday night. As always, for my live chat subscribers, my live chat viewers, if you want to subscribe to PHN Plus, drop me a DM. I will send you the private link to get a pretty big discount. I think it's about 30% on a yearly subscription. Happy to have you. Happy to do it, but I just don't want to put that out in public. So if you watch these live chats and you'd like to subscribe, you should want to. Yeah. Drop me that DM on Twitter. Let's see here. There. See? Wait. There. Right there. I don't know how weathermen do that. Back here, you've got a storm front rolling in. The barometric pressure is going to push the winds southwest at 10 miles an hour. Anyway, just DM me. If you don't want the report card, I thought Shelley did an extraordinary piece with Matt Murray. That was a Shelley exclusive. Nobody else talked with Matt Murray about the tattoo he's got on the inside of his arm. The Man in the Arena, which is a speech given by Teddy Roosevelt. It's a famous speech for speechwriters and politicians. Our buddy Bill Peduto, the mayor of Pittsburgh, spotted it and I guess gave Matt a little more insight on it as well. How does a kid from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, find a 108-year-old, 109-year-old speech from Teddy Roosevelt? How does that happen? But I'll give you a little bit of inside dirt here on Matt Murray. I don't know him personally. Just my interactions with him in the scrums, occasionally, outside the scrum. I'm not a guy who wants to go buddy up with players. It's just never seemed like my place. I think we've had this conversation before. But he's clearly a cerebral guy, He's got something going on upstairs. You can't say that for every athlete that I've ever talked to. Some guys are put on this planet to play sports. And if they didn't get their big break in sports, they were screwed. Matt Murray, I don't think, is one of those guys who would have been otherwise screwed. I think he would have done pretty well had sports not come calling for him. What would you like to see the line combinations since Sid is out? All right, let's tackle this a little bit here, because here's one guy who is going to be just monumental going forward for the next month, assuming Sidney Crosby has the surgery. By the way, somebody, and I have to email him, somebody commented on Tuesday morning where Sid was, what kind of doctor he was seeing on our website. I kind of dismissed it. I'm like, what do I say? Somebody put a comment on our website Tuesday morning, a full 24 hours before The Athletic busted the scoop and said Sid was seeing a doctor in Philadelphia about a core injury. Well, damn if that wasn't true. But anyway, I digress. Evgeny Malkin. And if I'm talking about the lines are and have to be whatever is best for Evgeny Malkin. Load up that front line if you have to. Find whichever two players are the best to play with Evgeny Malkin. I thought Dominic Simone and Brian Rust did a very good job on Tuesday night. I thought once the first period was over, I thought that line began to click. I thought Simone is just such a subtle player. If you're not paying attention, you miss 3/4 of what he does. Now, that's not to say that he's an all-star, but it's also certainly not to say he's what a lot of folks in Penguins land think he is. So if that's the line going forward, clearly Jared McCann and Jake Gensel should not play together. That was about as bad as either player has looked in a long time. I mean, they were smoked for 40 minutes until the third period when Sullivan made the switch. Alex Galchenyuk stayed with Jared McCann, but Sam Lafferty joined that line with Jared McCann, and Jake Gensel went to play with Nick Bjugstad. I'm kind of curious on your opinions on this one. I didn't grade Nick Bjugstad from Tuesday night intentionally. I think I would have to rewatch the entire game to adequately assess Nick Bjugstad's performance. I wasn't watching him specifically. But it seemed like every time I made a note, Bjugstad was in my notes. Some good, some bad. It just seemed like he was very prominent and prevalent on Tuesday night against the New York Rangers. He continues to get Nick Bjugstad the puck within 7 feet of the net, and it might go 6 feet wide. I don't think I've ever seen a player as talented as Bjugstad have such difficulty scoring in the dirty areas. I mean, the guy's 6'6". He's strong as an ox. He can shuck off defenders. He can use his body for positioning. He really knows how to do everything well until it comes time to put the puck across the goal line. I mean, he is an 8% career shooter. He's getting these looks, and they're hitting the boards. I don't know what to make of that. I genuinely don't. He was battling in front as well on Tuesday night. And there was at least one, I thought, there was a pizza right there in the slot. And Bukestad didn't get a bite. Instead, defenseman crashing in got to the puck, and Bukestad was, I believe it was, oh, darn it. I wanted to call him Pionk, but that's not him. Who is the Young Rangers defenseman? I think D'Angelo? I think D'Angelo had Bukestad covered. And I kind of thought, well, that just can't be. Jason says Bukestad gets the imbeciles talking. He's a solid player, better on the defensive side. I think you're in the right ballpark, Jason. Bukestad is good in all zones, except when it comes time to that little red light flashing. Gensel was completely absent without Sid. No, Gensel was really good with Bukestad. I thought Gensel added talent to that line with Bukestad, and then things kind of took off, right? Jason read my column on Alex Galchenyuk, and I didn't have time to load pictures tonight. This is just you and me talking tonight. By the way, like and share the video, please, and thanks. What I wrote this morning was entirely based on Mike Sullivan's comments, and let me, I can't pull it up on the iPad without just foobarring everything. Let me jump in. Let me grab Mike Sullivan's quotes from post-game last night, kind of unprompted. There it is. Galchenyuk not fitting in with Penguins. Clock is ticking. I love the folks on Twitter who are like, isn't it kind of early to say he doesn't fit with the Penguins? Give him more than 9 games, Kingerski. Well, I always wondered about the kids in school who didn't seem to read very well. I was kind of like, now I just read that passage. Maybe I missed a point or two, but I kind of, I picked up what the author was laying down. Is that really so difficult? And the more I do this job, the more I realize apparently it is for some folks. Galchenyuk is not fitting in. That's not to say Galchenyuk does not fit. Do you see the big difference there? One says he's not fitting in. He's not doing the things he needs to do. He's not playing well. He is right now a square peg in a round hole, but that's not a permanent situation. To say that he doesn't fit in would be to make a declarative statement in which, in fact, a conclusion had been reached based on all empirical evidence, none of which could change. Got it? Anyway, let me grab Mike Sullivan's comments. You're going to wind me up here tonight, aren't you? Sullivan said about Galchenyuk, I think it's more than shooting. He's got to be more focused on playing the game the right way. Competing on pucks, winning puck battles, being strong on the wall. All of the details of the game. For me, if a goal scorer struggles, just based on my experience, part of it is taking the focus off scoring. Okay? Part of it is taking the focus off the scoring and following what you can, or focusing on what you can control. And that's just how you play the game, how you think the game, how hard you compete for pucks, just being focused on that next play, and I think goals will come. That's Mike Sullivan on Alex Galchenyuk. Now, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to hear those comments, to see those comments on Pittsburgh Hockey Now. By Menon. To hear those comments, to see those comments, and realize Mike Sullivan was giving his winger a little bit of a gentle spanking. This is what you need to be doing. This is what you're not doing. This is what you need to be doing. Competing on pucks. Thinking the game. Focus is a word Mike Sullivan used several times in that one paragraph of a statement. 2, maybe 3 sentences, depending on where you want to put the periods. Kept using that word focus. What I know from Mike Sullivan after the last few years of covering him is he doesn't very often criticize a player. Once in a blue moon, he'll, take them behind the woodshed. By and large, Mike Sullivan communicates to his players in a positive spin, Dale Carnegie sort of coach's way. He won't say, you're not doing this. He will say, you need to be doing that. You can do this to be successful, not don't do that. That's how Mike Sullivan generally speaks through the media. So with that context in mind, is not his comments or are not his comments about Alex Galchenyuk, essentially the threat of the wooden paddle. You millennials wouldn't understand. And don't type in, okay, boomer. Unless you had a nun crack you one, you get where I'm going with this, okay? Let me go through the comments. Let's see here. I appreciate you participating, Jason. Hey, NES Addict, how are you? Good to see you back. The lines without Sidney Crosby. Back to that because, boy, this is going to be a heavy tangent-filled show tonight. For the here and now, Simone, Malkin, Rust. That'll be just fine. If you want to go Lafferty, McCann, and Galchenyuk, great. I tend to wonder who else would fit, on that line, because I always forget somebody. Let me make sure I don't forget anybody. I don't necessarily like Galchenyuk with McCann and Sam Lafferty. McCann and Lafferty are speed guys. Galchenyuk is going to be zigging when they zag. I don't necessarily think that's a nice compliment. Do you take Brandon Tanev off the energy line? That's got to be something Mike Sullivan considers here in the short term. It really is. That energy line he has created, Zach Aston-Reese, Teddy Blueger, Brandon Tanev, has been fantastic. I think we were writing about it 2-3 weeks ago. At least it feels like it. I was picking Tanev and Teddy Blueger's brain on that. You can go back on Pittsburgh Hockey Now if you're in love with that line. It's interesting how Sullivan has begun to deploy them. He's really he's taken a page out of the New York Islanders book and began. He's starting that line in the last 2, maybe 3 hockey games. Mike Sullivan has indeed started the Teddy Blueger line, the line that he told me. Well, if you want to call Teddy Blueger our 4th line. Message received. It's the energy line. It's the buzz line, whatever you want to call it. The grit, the sandpaper line, the jam, That line has been playing, 13 minutes? They're not a 4th line, but Galchenyuk becomes that. What do you do with Galchenyuk? Because you've got Nick Bjugstad. And Bjugstad and Gensel, I thought, worked pretty well together. If you slid Zach Aston-Reese up there, or I don't know. There is a certain comfort, security, by keeping at least one line bedrock, rock solid. There's at least a little bit of ease on mixing and matching 9 forwards instead of 12. So I'm not going to criticize Sullivan for keeping that line together. I do think Galchenyuk would work well with Bukestad. But then you have to move Jake Gensel, and so maybe Jared McCann has to suck it up with Galchenyuk for the time being. That's maybe they do have the best line combinations right now. It could change in a week, though, right? Whoever asked me that question? Great question. Who was it? Anyway, Austin. Good question, Austin. Let me go over to the chat board here. Unleash the wrister, Chucky. Yeah, I mean, Galchenyuk's averaging about 3 shots per game. A lot of those on the power play as the second unit. He's getting looks, and he's not just bombing away. Stephen Hawking fan. Sir. All right. Hey, Stephen Hawking fan. Cool. Glad to have you. Good morning, sir. Okay. All right. I think Stephen Hawking fan's been drinking. Wants to know which country I belong to. Are you new here, Stephen? Would you try Galchenyuk at center? Asks Nick Robertson. No, I don't believe I would, Nick. Because who are you going to displace? Teddy Bluger? No. Jared McCann? No. Galchenyuk's not a better center than Jared McCann. Although, if the Penguins get frustrated enough or a little bit desperate on that line, maybe Galchenyuk at center, McCann on the wing. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to tell you about Alex Galchenyuk. Nobody did more film work on Alex Galchenyuk this summer than me and Pittsburgh Hockey Now. I mean, my gosh, what did I do? 10 games I watched? 10 games sporadically placed throughout the season. A lot of Metro Division opponents. Early season, mid-season, late season, different situations. We went through it all on Pittsburgh Hockey Now, and I made that a PHN Plus article. Gratuitous plug for you to subscribe, please and thanks. Galchenyuk has not played well. And by that, I mean it almost doesn't look like he's really giving 100% effort. He's not getting his nose dirty enough. He's not doing enough of the little things. He's not, and those things can be forgiven if you get open and snap the puck into the net. All is forgiven when you tickle the twine, but Galchenyuk isn't even doing that. So he really has to have that come to Jesus meeting with himself, with Mike Sullivan, his teammates. Alex Galchenyuk really has to have a reckoning. Trust me when I tell you, in the first half of last season, Rick Tocchet was justified in putting a couch for Galchenyuk in the doghouse. Get comfortable, kid. You've earned it. He was dog meat in the first half of last season. Absolute dog meat. When I began writing my film study on him, I'd watched about 3 or 4 games before Christmas. And I was beginning to prepare a scathing film review. But then Arizona acquired Jordan Wheel from the Philadelphia Flyers. And Wheel's a bit of a speed grit guy. Somehow, some reason, he and Galchenyuk just clicked in mid-December. From December 16th, December 22nd to February 16th. Jordan Wheel's time with Galchenyuk, Alex Galchenyuk popped 22 points in 25 games. He was really good. That line was really good. Galchenyuk's ice time came back up to that 14, 15-minute plateau. Once Wheel was traded, Galchenyuk again fell off the table. His production was just back down to goose eggs. So I don't necessarily... I thought the Penguins' 100-mile-per-hour straight-ahead pace, much like Jordan Wheel was playing, would benefit Galchenyuk. I thought he would hop on the train and go along for the ride. I didn't think he'd become such a passenger on that train, however, which is exactly what he has become and what he is with the Penguins. That is... I wonder if I can raise my chair up. I don't think so. I think I'm... Hang on. Let's see if I can do this here. There we go. Yeah, it looks like some compression was... I knew I felt short. Can't see Rowdy, can you? We'll have to change that. Hang on one second. Let's change that so you can see Rowdy a little bit. So here is the full studio. We give you a live look. Of course, you know grandson Leo hiding in the covers, laughing maniacally as usual. That is actually a Mark Johnson autographed USA hockey jersey. Kind of one of the cool gifts that I've been given. Thanks, Mom and Dad. You know Rowdy. You know the Swedish chef. You know my friend. You know, I guess it's over there. You know R2 and everybody else. I can't change the camera angle when it's on the main, but I can do it back over here. Let me jump back to the chat board with Yins here. Why is the chat deleting my comments? I'm seeing them all, Jason. I'm just not reading them all. I'm seeing them. Although if you do use derogatory language, we have the filters set pretty strict. That's perhaps why. Let me see if I can get this a little better here. Anywho. Galchenyuk went hard on Saturday. I don't know. Let's see here. Let me get back here. Beach family, do you think they look to trade Gally if he doesn't get it going soon? If so, for who? You can't ask that second question, right? I can't crawl in the heads of 30 other general managers. I'll leave that sort of fun trade speculation to you guys. Here's what I see on that situation. I think I mentioned it maybe a couple of weeks ago. Galchenyuk has to put rubber to road with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's got to do those things Mike Sullivan said. Focus on his game. Play hard on the wall. Win those puck battles. Get his nose a little bit dirty. And shoot. Galchenyuk has to start doing all of those things. He has to simplify his game. Stop, maybe worrying about it so much and just do it. If he does not begin to produce, I think he will be a big name in the trade rumor mill for the Christmas break. That's kind of like the unofficial kickoff when names really start flying around right before Christmas, right before the Christmas roster freeze. I think that's December 21st, 22nd, somewhere around there. I think you'll hear Galchenyuk's name featured prominently. I think Alex Galchenyuk, from what I'm seeing right now, if he doesn't make any changes, would be a better Western Conference player. If he doesn't adopt a bit more of the speed game, if he doesn't become more of a complementary piece to a team with the speed game, then you start looking at teams like St. Louis who are without Vladimir Tarasenko until the playoffs. You start looking at the San Jose Sharks, or, although the Sharks are pretty salary cap maxed, are they not? They would have to find a way out of that. But you start looking at some of the Western the LA Kings. If they can ditch Ilya Kovalchuk. No, I am not saying the Penguins trade Alex Galchenyuk for Ilya Kovalchuk. No, didn't say that. I am saying if the Kings can get out from under that ridiculous, preposterous, onerous, monstrous, goofy, terrible, awful contract signing, 3 years to a 35-year-old Ilya Kovalchuk at $6 million plus. If the Kings can get out from under that, I think Galchenyuk fits it with a team like that. Maybe a team like Dallas. A team that would be more accepting, more of a home for a skill guy who goes side to side instead of a speed guy who goes straight ahead. What happened to the chemistry between Chucky and Gino? In training camp, oh my gosh, I wrote about it. In training camp, they were putting on a clinic. What happened? The other team started hitting back. The other team started pushing back and pressuring and actually wanting to take that puck. They stopped playing against American Hockey Leaguers and ECHLers or disinterested veterans. They began playing against interested NHL players, and that is infinitely more different, or infinitely different, infinitely more difficult than beating up on your teammates in training camp. Shane, how much do the Pens miss Phil Kessel on the power play? Everywhere else they were fine. I don't know. Here's how I can answer that, I think, most accurately. Phil Kessel was a constant. Phil Kessel was a consistent piece. And without Phil Kessel, the Penguins have had the freedom to try different people, to try different things, to try different schemes, to experiment, to keep experimenting. And in that process, maybe they got a little lost. In that process, maybe they took a wrong turn and they just kept going. I mean, everybody's got a hungry heart. Everybody's got a hungry heart. The Penguins certainly hungry for power play goals. They finally got their first one in 30 attempts on Tuesday night when McCann snapped one from his skates. But the Penguins will figure it out. I think they're maybe a little short on shooter talent. That's where Galchenyuk comes in. It might be oversimplifying things. But what the hell, I'm media, right? I'm allowed to be stupid. I'm allowed to oversimplify and give a ridiculous opinion. That seems to be the profession sometimes. There are times when you can simplify your power play by grabbing one guy by the shoulder pads and saying, stand on the dot and shoot. By grabbing two other guys and say, go to the net and battle and do not move until they throw you out. And then go back. Tip the puck, get the garbage goal. He's going to shoot it. There is a certain devil may care when things get so bad. And the Penguins didn't panic, and they didn't go to that bombs away, pee-wee simplification sort of power play. I've seen teams do it. I mean, hell, the Minnesota Wild, when they were a franchise team. I think Jacques Lemaire was their coach, and he just threw grinders on the power play. He threw what were third-line grinders out on the power play and said, keep it simple, get the puck in, go get the puck, the puck to the net. You'll score enough power play goals. And sure enough, they had one of the best power plays in the league that year. Was that 2003? I'm thinking of my old buddy Jimmy Dowd. Had 16 goals, like 12 power play goals that year. Just crash and bang, baby. Go to the net. We'll figure it out later. Get the puck there, and we'll get it. Okay. Benjamin says, I'm sorry if I missed it, but how long do you think Crosby will be out? The reporting is 4 to 6 weeks. That seems to be about what Zach Trotman, who had sports hernia surgery at the beginning of training camp, was out, and he kind of came back mid-October, 5-6 weeks. So generally speaking, I'm not Sidney Crosby's doctor, and I'm not Sidney Crosby's hernia. It's probably, a pretty reasonable guess, but, until the Penguins give official word, they're just no idea. McCann and Rust are looking good, says Mateo. What are your thoughts on Tanev so far, both offense and defense? All right, offense and defense. I think Tanev is what he is. He is exactly as advertised on July 1st. He is exactly what the Pittsburgh Penguins thought they were getting. He is exactly what they hoped. He's a Tasmanian devil. Hits everything that moves. He is on every puck. He makes opponents' life miserable. He allows the Penguins to have a fourth line that plays 13 minutes per night. When Sidney Crosby is back to being healthy, that fourth line, if you want to call Teddy Bluger's line the fourth line, it will allow Crosby to be freed up and play against the other team's lesser talents. In the short term, think about this. The thought is kind of rattling around my noodle a little bit too. Because maybe Evgeny Malkin isn't always on his defensive game, having that Bluger line is going to take a lot of pressure off Evgeny Malkin playing against the other team's top line, which is going to free Malkin to play against lesser talent. So I don't see the Penguins going power against power for home games, not with Malkin. So how good has Tanev been? Very good. Offensively, he's just not ever going to score 40 points. He's not going to. He probably won't get you 35 when all is said and done. But his contributions should be obvious. In fact, you know what? I will say this. I love the fact that fans are warm to Brandon Tanev. As much as some of you just peed and moaned and whined and griped and, oh, this is terrible. Jim Rutherford has lost it. He's a senile old man. The Penguins are going to finish in last place out of the playoffs. What are they signing Brandon Tanev for? Oh, my God, 6 years. All stuff I got for days, all day long in July and August and September. I love the fact that Tanev is kind of making a lot of fans embrace that very grinder game. Not the dating app, but the hockey term. That jam, grit, sandpaper, speed, puck pressure, honest. Put it all together and call that an honest hockey game. And I love the fact that fans are beginning to embrace it. Maybe, just maybe, Pens fans, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We'll make you a little Canadian yet. We'll put a little Canadian in your cereal. All right. Uh, let's see here. Let me get down to the bottom. Sorry. Galchenyuk has time to figure this out. He wants to be here, clearly. I don't necessarily want to speak for Galchenyuk on that one. But he does have time to figure it out. But the clock is ticking. He's been so rough in his first 9-10 games that I think the seeds of doubt are beginning to be sown. Make no mistake, there is a reason why the Penguins accepted Alex Galchenyuk back for Phil Kessel. His contract is off the books after this year. If he works, great, you give him a new contract. If he doesn't work, thank you much. Hopefully you enjoyed your Permani sandwich. Good luck next year, wherever you are. Or they can trade him. You know, the Galchenyuk essentially becomes a few $1 million rental for a team that needs some talent and a sniper who doesn't want to or have to play a speed game. The JFK plate behind me. Yeah, I think I told the story of that late in the last podcast. An old girlfriend got that for me, and I didn't quite realize the significance of it. It is the same plate that Richard Belzer, Detective Munch on Law and Order, had on his desk. I didn't understand the significance of it until actually recently. So I guess, you know what she was kind of telling me. Anyway, we're not going to get into Dan's dating life or complete lack thereof. Hey, Tom Wilson eats urinal cakes. Going to spend Thanksgiving weekend in Pittsburgh for 2 games. Bummed Sid is going to be out. Yeah, I can imagine you're spending a ton of money to come and you want to see Sidney Crosby. But I will tell you this, TWEUC, there is something interesting about the Penguins without Sidney Crosby. There is something interesting watching their grinders, watching so many of these guys. Oh, my laptop's going to die here pretty soon. I'm wondering where the plug is. I better run and go get it. But there's something interesting in watching the Penguins as a bunch of grinders do that, you know, to play the game they're going to have to play. But yeah, I'm sure you want to see. Matthew, I love the chaos Tanev brings. His tenacity seems to be rubbing off on a lot of guys. Seems like the player Sullivan has been looking for. I mean, we wondered if he made Brian Rust superfluous, but clearly having more of these guys is a good thing. Did I miss the Galchenyuk talk? Well, Aaron, you came in 48 minutes into it. What do you want to talk about with Galchenyuk? Tell you what, I'm going to throw up. No, I'm not going to throw up. I'm going to put up my friends here at Redbeards, and I'm going to plug my laptop in so that I can keep seeing your chats. So talk amongst yourselves. 30 seconds, all right? Time me. I feel like the dad in A Christmas Story, changing a tire. Time me! Alrighty then. How'd you enjoy your shot of Redbeards? Of course, I knocked over the light stand, but I did have a chance to grab some nasal spray. It's been that kind of time of year. Anywho, we were talking about, I guess we're getting back to Alex Galchenyuk. And if you want to dive into that, Aaron, here's what what we talked about earlier. And that is very specifically, very importantly, Galchenyuk is not fitting in with the Penguins. That is not a permanent, terminal situation. Galchenyuk not fitting in. If you looked at Mike Sullivan's comments last night, the things that Galchenyuk has to do let's just put it all under the umbrella, play the right way, okay? He's got to get on the right side of the puck. He's got to shoot the puck. He's got to win some puck battles. He's got to chase the puck a little harder. He's got to put himself in better position, take those hard strides, play a little bit of a harder game. It doesn't have to be physical. That's not ever going to be his game, but he's got to bring a little bit more of an edge or a little bit more of a speed. He's got to contribute more and do more of the little things, the details of the game. So he's not fitting in right now because he's not doing those things. There is plenty of time. Like I said, it's not a terminal or a permanent situation. There's time. If Galchenyuk doesn't figure it out, I think you're going to hear his name really pop up in trade rumors heading into Christmas as teams want a guy who's not working somewhere, who they can pillage and plunder for next to nothing, who could be, lightning in a bottle for them. I think Galchenyuk generally qualifies as that for a lot of teams. Benjamin says, love the new setup. Cool. Glad you like it, man. Christopher, amen, Jason, especially the whining about Tanev. Bobby Boucher. Yeah, I think they trade to get Galchenyuk. Yeah, and Jack Johnson for Draisaitl and McDavid. What Coach Klein doesn't know. I think Poulin will be an NHLer soon. He's got game. You guys talking about Poulin behind my back? Did I miss? Oh, there's Nick. Sam Poulin looking good, like 36 points in 18 games in the queue. I'm not going to mince words or hide it. I really wanted to see the Penguins make an emergency call-up of Sam Poulin or Nathan Legare to the NHL when they were decimated with injuries. Upon the third call-up and beyond, the Penguins could have called up one or both of those guys, and they hit 4 and 5. If they hit, they could have made a fourth emergency recall and even almost a fifth. I would have really liked to have seen them drop ship Poulin into the NHL. I think Poulin's got a very complete game. I don't necessarily think Poulin's shot is NHL quality yet. I think he's a really good player. I think he does a lot of things well. I think he really is complete. I don't necessarily think his shot is going to beat NHL goaltenders right now. Legare, on the other hand, has to add layers to his game. But boy, you get that kid the puck on his stick anywhere near a scoring zone, and he's got a shot. I mean, he takes paint off the posts. The first time I saw it was, I guess would have been in June, the rookie camp, before the fans got there, and he's shooting, and he hit the post, and my ears were ringing. And I just damn, this kid can shoot. I really would have liked to have seen the Penguins call him up. Did the video freeze? I hope not, because it doesn't look like it froze to me. Are we good? Are we good? Yeah, Laguerre has a monster wicked wrister, like, woo! Absolutely. All right, kids, is the chat still going? Because I'm still broadcasting. Give me a yeah that it is. Also, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that this is going pretty well, okay? And if you hear the... I can hear the helicopter buzzing my house again. At least once every couple of days, I live close to a hospital in the medevac chop, right? I think wants to land on my roof or at least just disrupt anything that I'm doing. Clifford is on Jimmy's radar. I don't know. You talking about Kyle Clifford in L.A.? I just, I'm not seeing that. You know what I mean? I don't. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm wrong a lot, right? What do I think of Malkin's quote after the game saying they have to work harder? Well, did you read what I wrote, Ryan P.? I certainly tackled that comment head on. Malkin was right. The Penguins in the first period against New York, and even when they were dominating the puck and in the second period and, playing much better in the third, even when they were doing those things, there was a stride that was missing. They were a step short. They were not getting that second and third chance. And that's been a bugaboo. For a team that is as honest, hardworking, and gritty as the Penguins are, and as fast as the Penguins are, you would assume or you would think that getting that loose puck in the slot or getting that loose puck, getting the garbage goals would be how they excel. But that's not been the case. They've, in fact, not been getting to those pucks and those goals and getting that second opportunity, that second shot. When they struggle to score goals, it's because they're not getting those. And I don't think they did that very well in New York at all. I mean, think about their 2 goals against the New York Rangers. The Rangers failed to cover Justin Schultz, who took the puck to the net. One shot, one kill. And the power play goal. Again, not a rebound, but one shot. Statistically speaking, if you rely on one shot, you're going to score 1 in 100, maybe 2 in 100. Those second and those third chances, that's when you score goals in this NHL. You've got to get the puck in deep. You've got to get the puck to the net, but you've got to do so with numbers and with bodies and with an aggression and physicality, and you have to get that second and third stick on the puck, both on the wall to win the battle, but also near the net to get it in the net. The days of, dipsy-do, deke the defender, come in on the goalie once or twice a game, those are just, that's a bygone era. Crosby's rookie year when he blew past defenders, and Malkin used to do that stuff too. That was back in the day when there were still the dinosaur holdovers of the old clutch and grab game that general managers didn't yet understand, that the Darian Hatchers of the world, the big lumbering defenders were obsolete. So Crosby and Malkin could victimize those guys, and that was before defensemen were so good on their edges, and that was before defensemen were truly as good on their blades as the forwards. Well, now that is the case, and so you're not going to see that. You need to manufacture goals with a lunch pail, and I'm kind of surprised the Penguins aren't better at that. I really am. Obviously, Patrick Hornquist, his absence hurts the Penguins. A large part of me believes that part of that game that Hornquist plays is just pure want to. And so the Penguins have a lot of guys who could, if they took it upon themselves to believe that they could, in fact, do it. I thought ASY? I have no idea what that means. Could Aston Reese step up and take Hornquist's spot in front of the net? He seems to have the build. I think he could. I don't really think... I don't think that Aston Reese is the holy terror in front of the net that Penguins fans painted him to be when he was just being called up. Rutherford made the mistake, I think, one time of saying he could be like a bit like Patrick Hornquist. And I think a lot of people really took that too literally. I'm not yet convinced we've seen the best of Aston Reese. I don't know if he's going to be that guy who takes on two defenders and just cheeses off the defense until they're, ready to take his head off with a stick. I don't think that's him. I think he's a heavier guy. I think he's got potential to be a good third-line scorer. But in terms of just a net front warrior, I'm not sure that's in his heart. I'm not sure he sees himself that way, and thus I don't think he's going to adopt it, at least right now. All right, you guys are having a conversation here. I'm not Chris Kunitz. What? Hainsey. What are you people talking about? Oh, wait. Don't Don Cherry me. Anywho. If you could bring back either Kunitz... Oh, here's the question. If you could bring back either Kunitz, Bonino, or Hainsey from the 2017 Stanley Cup team, which one would you? I don't think any of those players would make the Penguins better. I really don't. I think Nick Bjugstad is a better third-line center than Nick Bonino. I think that the Penguins have Brian Rust and Brandon Tanev to fill the Chris Kunitz spots. And Ron Hainsey. Don't get me wrong. I liked Ron Hainsey, but let's not inflate the legend of Ron Hainsey just because you won a Stanley Cup. Okay, let's just let's pump the brakes there just a little bit. Should Malkin take his own advice after the poor effort on the Capo Caco OT goal? Look, Malkin knew he screwed up. In overtime, he put the puck to a space he thought was safe, and it turned out it wasn't. Sullivan certainly wasn't a happy camper. I don't know if you saw Sullivan's face as he stormed off the bench. I've seen people eat a whole lemon and not purse quite as sour as Sullivan did. But look, that's apples and oranges, apples and lemons, pears and lemons, limes and lemons, cabbage and lemons. Malkin played a really good game. He made a bad pass. That's not being soft. That's trying to create something when it's not there. That's an entirely different type of mistake than not moving your feet, than not being engaged, and than not playing hard. And I think that's what the Penguins were really upset about last night, was they knew they didn't play hard. They knew they didn't move their feet. They knew that they didn't engage the New York Rangers for at least the first 20 minutes. And they were down 2-0 before they began to beat the New York Rangers. And they knew that they squandered a point. So that's what that's about. Oh, Aaron, probably another late question, but any thoughts on the legend Don Cherry getting fired? Have we seen the last of him? We have. You know what? I've already done an hour-long show. I should not take this question. I'm going to. I've got a lot to say on the matter. I find myself appreciating what Don Cherry brings to hockey. Don Cherry is a representative of the soul of hockey. Not everything that's new is better. Not everything that, we don't evolve, and have to cast off the old. Don Cherry has said some controversial things over the course of time. I don't necessarily understand these comments being so hurtful. What Don Cherry said was that, hey, new Canadians, you come to this country, you enjoy the way of life here. Buy a poppy. Celebrate, honor those who died to create this country that you're enjoying. That's what Don Cherry said. Now, in that, I have yet to have anybody tell me what was racist or offensive about it. Don Cherry did not advocate any harm to anyone, did not advocate any sort of hate, didn't advocate, stopping, restricting immigration. What he said was, buy a poppy and show support and appreciation for those who died for Canada. I don't know. Truly, this was an accumulation firing. This was the CBC kind of buckling. And look, we live in different times. The Don Cherry firing had a lot to do with the Donald Trump conundrum. It really did. Because Donald Trump is such a central figure in the world debate on so many issues that I believe the CBC felt felt a responsibility to be oversensitive. Anything that remotely touched, some of the immigration issues that are popping up around the world. Look, the United States is not the only country having sort of this immigration debate. Brexit was largely because European immigrants from the old Eastern Bloc could come to England and could kind of walk in the country without becoming a citizen, get jobs, and send the money back, kind of take the money out of the English economy. That upset a lot of people. That's what a large part of Brexit was. Germany has kind of the same internal debate going on after they took in, and I know I'm going way off topic here on hockey. I know the world. Germany took in a ton of immigrants from the Middle East. I'm not going to dive too deep into that. Like a lot of Syrian refugees and a lot of Muslim refugees. And there was a bit of a culture clash. There was some violence. There were some problems. And it didn't help that years earlier, Germany was asked to essentially, bail out Greece and the Greek economy. So you have all of these things. And I think the CBC just got so uptight that Don Cherry even remotely brought up, that could be construed as connected to the immigration debate. And so they cut bait. That's what I think happened. If you can tell me, call me a boomer, whatever. I kind of don't care. Let's see here. I thought Gino made his presence felt. You guys are having a conversation without me. That's kind of cool. Just as I'm talking about world affairs and the proliferation of kind of the nationalism tide, which has really turned elections, you're all talking about Tyler Toffoli. I think I want in your conversation. I don't think Tyler makes sense with the Penguins. I see Tyler as Tanner Pearson 2.0, guys. Sorry. Is Marino here to stay? Love his play thus far. Your thoughts, Dan? I don't know. We are only 5-6 weeks into the John Marino career. He would not be the first rookie to taper off once he gets comfortable. He wouldn't be the first rookie to take a wrong turn somewhere in his development and have to take a detour to get back. He would not be the first guy that you say, what happened to Marino? As he hits a slump, as he has to deal with adversity. It's easy when you're playing hockey downhill. I think Marino has been playing hockey downhill with momentum and confidence. There'll come a time when that confidence gets tested, and then I think I'll be more confident answering if Marino is here to stay. The physical skills he brings to the Penguins are quite obvious, right? The ability to skate out of trouble, the ability to move the puck, the ability to jump in on the rush, the ability to get back because he has that speed, to kind of pinch on the wall and get back. He does a lot of really good things, and he's learning and growing at almost a lawnmower man kind of pace. There's another movie reference. Dan, do you think Brassard would fit with the Penguins' grind game? He seems to be doing somewhat better in New York. I chuckled about that. I didn't write it, I don't think. I think I put one line in it on Pittsburgh Hockey Now when Brassard was still a free agent coming up on the season. Yeah, I kind of do. The Penguins would have had to make Brassard a left wing. Truth be told, given the choice on October 3rd, if I had Derek Brassard as a left wing or Alex Galchenyuk, I probably would have picked Derek Brassard. Aaron says, I'm not even particularly a big Cherry fan. I still remember his feud with Matt Cook, but everyone knows he's an icon. Cancel culture is huge in Canada. I don't think you can limit it. I mean, look, cancel culture is just everywhere. Someone asked me about that today, and they said, are you ever worried that you'll put a foot out of line? And I don't worry anymore because I stay in such narrow guidelines. I stay within the guardrails. Really, I do. You come to me for hockey. I'm going to give you hockey. I'm not going to tell you what to think about Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, impeachment, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Tulsi Gabbard, Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to tell you what to think about these people. Even if you ask, I'm not going to tell you what I think or what you should think. I'm not going to tell you, what I think about a lot of government policy. We're not going there. You come to me for hockey, I'm going to give you hockey. You do the rest of the work. So within that confines, I don't worry about cancel culture, but you never know when they're going to come for you, right? And for all of us, at some point, they will come for us because that's just what they do. The thing about Don Cherry that offends me are those outfits. Come on, I love that. I love the suits. Do the Pens have enough offense with and without Sid? No. They do not have enough offense without Sid. Absolutely, positively, no. But they're going to have to make do. And if they have to suppress the other team by tackling them, holding them down for 60 minutes while Evgeny Malkin, skates around the bodies like the end of Youngblood or the end of Slapshot, if that's what they have to do, then that's what they have to do. Politicians are useless. All right, we've been doing an hour 15 here. Last call for questions. I actually feel like I caught my second wind. I really do. Yeah, I do have to write tonight for tomorrow morning. These 20 and 24-hour days and these 36-hour shifts that Pittsburgh Hockey Now and by the way, I will tell you, because Pittsburgh Hockey Now does not travel to cover the Penguins, we want to. We really want to, but because we don't yet or ever, I do fill my time when the Penguins are on the road by being a financial advisor, a Medicare specialist. I help Grandma and Grandpa with their Medicare and some retirement planning. I'm not bad. So if you help Grandma and Grandpa, if you help your parents, some of that stuff, drop me a DM. I didn't put my name up. We've been kind of talking for a while. New people coming in, coming out. There we are. Let's see. What do you guys? My gosh, what all these chats I've missed. Holy cow. Think the Pens should give Marino a chance on power play 1? Not really. I don't see his shot as penetrating. Schultz has to run power play 1. He's got to bomb away. You need that heavy, hard shot up at the top. Too many vanilla personalities in Hockey Night, as is officially a snooze fest now, and that kills us. Yeah, what was... I mean, there was the Great Purge this summer. John Shannon, also one of the guys that no longer there. I almost stepped out of line. There is, I have noticed, a trend in professional sports broadcasting to go with people who look the part, who sound the part, but who really bring absolutely nothing to the table. Stuffed shirts and straight people who won't ever get in trouble, but won't ever really make you think, or won't ever really bring true color and context and thought and intelligence and vibrance to the sports broadcasting. And hockey, above all sports, I thought with Hockey Night in Canada always brought that. Colorful characters that you just enjoyed. Even when you hated what Don Cherry said or disagreed, it was a show, man. Cherry was the last. Maybe beginning with Howard Cosell back at, Monday Night Football and extending to Don Cherry. It's over. It's dead now. It's gone. Cherry was the last of the big sports broadcasters. And that's not to criticize a lot of the guys who are getting jobs now, but dear God, you if you had to listen to them, you can't tell one from the other. Makes you appreciate how truly special Mike Lang is and the personality that he has brought to broadcasting, because just no one else does it now. You can't, this culture, you can't make jokes, you can't say anything there's just so much you can't do that sports in general has adopted that path of least resistance in terms of picking their broadcasters. Okay, Jason W. is my new favorite. Hey, Jason W., you're gaining fans here on the chat. Let's see here. I guess that's about it. You get it, bro. You a Canuck? I assume you're talking to Jason, not me, because Christopher, I'm not officially Canadian, but I certainly always feel like I learned my hockey from the Canadian school, and I'm quite proud of that. Okay, last one. I was just telling the wife about Gino. It's awesome to see Gino just take over the league. I would have great joy in my heart. All right, kids, hit like, hit share. It's 9:30. I have to start writing. And that's going to take me 3 or 4 hours. Do me a favor, fire off some topics I can write about for tomorrow. The Penguins were off today, so I've got nothing new to work from, and I refuse to let PHN go dark for a day while I dare to sleep in and enjoy a warm and cozy bed. Oh, would that be nice? Nope. Instead, when I don't finish tonight, I will be up at 5:36 a.m. because my mind will not unplug. I kid you not. I woke up this morning at 4:30 because I didn't finish my article last night. Just pop like, oh, I have to finish it. Looked at the clock, 4:30. Let myself go back to sleep for an hour before I finished up the Galchenyuk piece. This is the hell that is my life. I'm so consumed with this now that sleep is, I'm almost on the Van Gogh sleep schedule, 20 minutes. Sleep is for the weak. Okay. Have fun, kids. We will... nope. Okay. Have fun, kids. We'll do this again next Wednesday night. There's not a game next Wednesday, but if there is, we'll do it another night. Otherwise, have fun.